Hello and welcome to New Orleans. Today we are doing something super fun and I'm going to take you to some of my favorite food staples here in New Orleans. New Orleans is such a foodie city. They have such iconic dishes, and I'm going to take you around and show you some of my favorites and hopefully some of my soon-to-be favorites. We're going to be spending most of our time in the French Quarter because whenever people come down to New Orleans, that's usually where they will be. So I don't want to give you recommendations where you're going to have to go too far to see those. We are going to start off, since it is bright and early, with breakfast. And if I'm here for 5 days, I will usually hit up this place 4 out of those 5 days. I like it that much. And that is Ruby Slipper. Ruby Slipper started here in 2008. And you might actually have one by where you live, also known as Ruby Sunshine now. They've expanded, and that is what they are known in a lot of other states. But they have many locations through the Gulf area. But they originally started here in Mid-City in New Orleans after Katrina. They are known for their Creole breakfast staples. So they take a New Orleans inspired stance on normal Southern fare. My favorites there are pancakes, and I don't even like pancakes most of the time, you guys. That's how good their pancakes are. And their beignets. So their Benedicts aren't traditional by any means. They're all on biscuits, which I love because I'm not much of an English muffin girl. And you can get 2 different kinds, or even 3 different kinds if you're really hungry, in one breakfast dish. So you don't have to choose between one kind of beignet. I think that's so great. That is my #1 go-to order all the time. Today I'm going to get the chicken beignet, which is going to have like a tasso pork gravy over the top. And of course the normal poached egg. And then I'm going to get my personal favorite beignet, which is the smoked pork. And that's going to have a traditional hollandaise. They really give you the best of both worlds, and I highly recommend. There are several locations. There's actually 2 French Quarter locations of Ruby Slipper. So you have a chance to visit depending on which side of the French Quarter you're staying at. I would get there early though because they do not take reservations, but there is a wait list just in case. Also, don't forget to complete your meal with one of their amazing Bloody Marys. They have a traditional Bloody Mary and a bacon Bloody Mary. I like them both. Ruby Slipper was so good. So good. Highly recommend. I am full. And I had a cocktail, so that means if it's before noon, then you need to get some coffee. And behind me is an institution of the French Quarter, French Truck Coffee. French Truck got famous because they are known for roasting their beans as close to grinding and brewing as possible. All of the bags in the store have actual dates on them, so you know when they've been roasted and exactly how fresh they are. Lots of the restaurants in the quarter actually use French Truck Coffee, including Ruby Slipper, but I thought I would go to the source and actually try it out there. French Truck Coffee is particularly known for their New Orleans cold brew, which is a mixture of actual coffee and the chicory that this area is known for. I will talk more on that later, maybe over some beignets. But today I am just going to try out their normal latte because that is the standard to me of how good a place's coffee is. See how they do. right, just came to New Orleans Poboys from coffee. It's on the other side of the French Quarter, so a little bit of a hike over here. I got a fried shrimp po' boy and some fried okra. 2 drinks for $39, so kind of pricey. Here in New Orleans po' boy, you order at the counter and then they bring you your food out. Lots and lots of seating, 3 rooms, and they're open late. Really well rated, so I'm excited to try it. Let's go back to coffee. It was really good, really rich. I got a bag of beans for later, so I'm excited to try those. They're supposed to like taste like brownies, so really excited about that. Coffee was very nutty and dark. If you don't like that kind of thing, then you're probably not gonna like their coffee. Po' boys aren't for everyone. They are a traditional sandwich that comes on po' boy bread, which is like French bread, but it has more water added to it, so it's lighter. Personally, I prefer like normal French bread, but that's kind of the difference. Also, they traditionally have lettuce, tomato, pickle, and mayonnaise on them, but of course you can request it with less toppings if you want. Most people's problem with a po' boy is the fact that it has a lot of bread. It should be overflowing with meat, which that one was, but it didn't stand out to me. But a po' boy isn't going to be my like go-to sandwich to begin with. If you want it traditional, then get fried seafood on it. That's pretty traditional. This place also has muffulettas, which are a traditional sandwich for down here. But they have olive spread on them, which actually is kind of the hallmark of them, and I don't like olive spread, so I definitely skip that. But if you want a traditional sandwich and you don't want a po' boy, then I recommend that. The best thing about this location, though, is that it is right by Lafitte's blacksmith shop, which is pretty well the oldest running bar in the United States, from what most people know. It got its name in the early 1800s whenever it was named after the Lafitte brothers that owned it. They used it for who knows what, potentially smuggling operations, but that long ago, who's to say? It was actually built in the early 1700s, though, and survived hurricanes, fires, and is still standing today. So the reason, besides the fact that it's really old that you want to go there, is that it's consistently rated the best hurricane in New Orleans. So let's go check it out. I'm on the move again. I wasn't at that blacksmith shop for very long. My hurricane I ended up throwing away. It was terrible, and I can almost drink anything. It just tasted really cheap. That's the first place that we've went today that I just can't recommend. If you want a good hurricane, I've had them at Pat O'Brien's. A little bit of a chain, but they only have a couple locations, and I know theirs are good. So if you want a good one, maybe go there. If you want to check out the Lafitte's blacksmith shop, it was a cool vibe in there. It's just they're known for their hurricanes, and I thought they were terrible. So let's go get something that I know will be good. Guys, you look like you have powdered sugar on you. Have you been to Cafe de Monde like me? I think you have. You can't go there without getting covered in powdered sugar. But it really is an institution. It's been around since 1862. It was actually later bought by the Fitzgerald's family that actually still owns it. It's chaos, but it also is kind of an institution, so you really have to go there. I also recommend that you get their chicory mixed coffee. They're gonna mix it with regular coffee, and honestly, you can't tell the difference unless maybe you close your eyes and you get just a hint of root vegetable. During the Civil War, it became popular to mix chicory with coffee or just brew it on its own because coffee was hard to come by and became a staple down here. So I definitely recommend that you try it. It doesn't have any caffeine and actually is like a brewed from a root of an endive plant, which I think is why it gives it its root vegetable taste, but only just a little bit. For the most part, pretty good and definitely worth trying. People hype the beignets up here, and I think it's partly just the ambiance that you're eating them in. They're good, don't get me wrong, but I would just soon have a funnel cake at a fair. I like the crispy edges of a funnel cake better than the doughy texture of a beignet, but that's just me personally. Honestly, my biggest tip to you if you get them, try not to breathe in the powdered sugar, which is near impossible, but you've been warned. I will see you whenever it is time for dinner. You didn't think that I forgot the #1 staple down here, did you? Gumbo and etouffee is coming up. All right, I'm headed to dinner. It is going to be Deanie's seafood restaurant. You might be like, Brittany, you are going for gumbo. Why are you not going to Gumbo Shop? Highly recommend Gumbo Shop if you know you want gumbo, but if you're with somebody that wants gumbo, but you want something else, and maybe somebody else wants even something else, then Deanie's has amazing gumbo, etouffee, fried seafood, oysters. Tonight I'm going to get the chicken gumbo and some oysters. I do recommend a reservation for Deanie's. I'm a single, I'm probably gonna sit at the bar, but if you're coming with a bunch of people, get a reservation. I really appreciate you joining me on this food tour in New Orleans. I'll catch you in another video shortly. Bye.